Hello and welcome. I'm Ricky Gervais. Thank you. You'll be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Weekly OJ. So before we get started, I kind of want to let you guys know that if you could please like and subscribe, it helps us out for knowing that we're doing a good job. And
turn on notification bells.
Yeah, turn on notifications so that we know that you guys like or hate us. Recently I found out that a lot of people disagree with me very strongly, and I'm kind of excited about that. So if you do not like me and you want to see me go down, like and subscribe.
Let us know in the comments.
And I'll prove to you that I'm right. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Ricky Gervais and basically his taking a dump on Hollywood for basically the third time now. We had like Dave Chappelle and who else? There was a couple other people that called out Hollywood or the woke media. Remember?
I don't know.
Gervais has been doing it for a while now since he's been hosting.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said it. He's like obviously the network doesn't care because they brought me back again.
Yeah.
And everybody knows he's controversial.
And he
was very controversial.
I didn't even know that he had been doing this for 5 years now. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, he's like, "I'm over it. You guys suck." But yeah, so that's basically what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm just gonna. Everyone's been covering what he was saying during the whole Golden Globe things and kind of clowning everybody for everything that he was talking about. But today we're going to be talking about why he was saying everything he's saying, like what's going on, why is it that he decided to do this. So stay tuned. All right, so the reason why Ricky Gervais decided to call out Hollywood to begin with is because basically everybody in the entertainment industry and all these giant corporations and everything have all been, for whatever reason, getting into these political agendas and trying to voice themselves on every platform that they can. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that the media has monopolized Hollywood because Hollywood has become a Democrat, a leftist corporation. Everyone that's in Hollywood is basically a leftist, and what this does is it allows for the media to basically strong arm the Hollywood elites into voicing what they believe are the political agendas that they need to stand for. And I can give an example of this. You have people like Taylor Swift who, for whatever reason, out of nowhere started, well, not for no reason. So Taylor Swift was staying out of the whole political scene and basically sticking to her music for like the longest time. And then out of nowhere, she got called out by a bunch of these woke activists saying, you know what, Taylor Swift must be a right-wing Republican because she's not saying anything about these agenda topics. She's not calling anybody out. She's not virtue signaling and telling everybody that they're crap because they're not, being diverse and inclusive. So right after that, she started getting involved. She started changing her music to voice these opinions. So she came out with that song, what was it? You Need to Calm Down, I think was the name of the song, where she's basically talking about, gay rights. But you see this everywhere. So you see all these Hollywood elites coming out and using every chance that they have to voice these political agendas. So at basically every award show that goes on, you got the VMAs, you got the Golden Globes, you got the Grammys, you got every possible award show, you got new TV shows that are coming out, you got new movies that are coming out that are basically just agenda-driven, pushing narratives that all these people are trying to, force feed us for the most part. So you had Batwoman that came out. Batwoman came out, and before the show even started, you had the directors coming out and saying that this was going to be the next female that was going to, show diversity and inclusivity because she was a lesbian. And then they weren't even happy about that because the woke people that were supposedly supporting the show were mad at the actress, what was her name, Ruby Rose, for not being gay enough. So so they're never satisfied. And then not only that, but you had the director of Lucasfilm, who is Kathleen Kennedy, which when she first got hired on for the job was coming out and talking about how she wanted to make, where she was basically saying, I'm glad that I'm the director now because now or the president, because now I have the power to basically shoehorn in all these agendas that we weren't able to do before. So now we can have these strong female-led characters and essentially only strong female-led characters, because Rogue One had a strong female-led character. The new Star Wars franchise was a strong female character. Rey, but she was just a Mary Sue who could basically do anything. And then
Captain Marvel, sorry.
Yeah, and then not only that, but then you have all these celebrities that are constantly coming out saying that you need to take care of the planet, and they're voicing all these.
It's climate change.
Yeah, there we go, climate change. So you have all these celebrities coming out now talking about how climate change is like the biggest thing that we need to focus on and worry about, when they themselves are flying around in private jets that, I don't know, emits so much CO2 into the air, and none of them are actually concerned about any of this. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of list off the things that Ricky Gervais said, and kind of go over one by one why he said these things, and then I'll let you guys kind of give your takes on what you think. So the whole speech was basically about Hollywood's hypocrisy. Basically, everyone in Hollywood trying to tell everyone to hold to moral standards and agendas that they themselves don't even hold to. So you got these celebrities that are working with companies like Amazon and Apple, which run sweatshops. What was the joke that he said?
Well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you?
Yeah, basically saying that you guys really don't give a damn about all these Hollywood elites are always calling out these big corporations and capitalism, saying
as long
that
as your money's or your pocket's getting lined with money, you don't care.
Yeah, you don't really give a damn.
Well, they don't really care about freaking Amazon or Apple, because they're supported by them. They get platforms and distributions by them. So.
Yeah, and yet they're the main ones calling out all these big tech companies, saying that you guys are the reason why we have global warming, or not global warming, but global warming and all this. Yeah, climate change and
carbon footprint.
And all these different things. Yeah, they're the ones that are working for these companies. Okay, so he also calls out, basically, when he talks about Greta Thunberg.
So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God. And
he's like, you guys need to stop talking about things that you guys have no idea what's going on. You guys have less education than Greta Thunberg, which, according to Ben Shapiro, one of the actresses that went up and did a speech on like abortion or something like that, the power, the right to choose or whatever.
Oh my goodness! She said that abortion helped her career.
Yeah,
helped her in some way.
And legitimately, she actually does have less education than Greta Thunberg. Like I think she dropped out of high school like at 16. So, so they legitimately do. They're not educated in these things that they're trying to talk about.
Well, he also said that they're exploiting her too. Like they're pushing her so much that she's not going to school, and she has a lot of anxiety. So they're pushing her to find a solution.
Yeah,
so that's not right.
Well, maybe not for her to find a solution, but to have governments break down and help find a solution, right?
Well, the whole thing with her is like she's the future. So the future, the kids her age, like that's who she's trying to attract mainly.
Yeah, but the reason why they like her so much is because she draws attention. They have this whole idea of trying to convince everybody of climate change alarmism. So they're trying to convince everybody that the world is ending in like 10 years because of climate change. And they're using this girl to voice that. And she has this capacity of drawing crowds for whatever reason. I think
she supposedly which I think you told me earlier, she's for climate change, but she's trying to lower her own footprint, except she has a whole team of doctors that fly over on a plane that emits emissions or
so
produces a carbon footprint. So where's the balance in that?
Yeah, so she tries to get around saying that, or they try to prop her up for sailing around everywhere and not using all these carbon emissions and all that stuff. But then she gets to where she needs to be, but all her doctors fly over to where she is, and they end up using the same amount of carbon footprint, if not more, because it's multiple people that got to go just to take care of her. But anyways, okay, so the next thing that he kind of gets into is he gets into the Me Too movement, and he talks about how you guys were strongly supporting the Me Too movement, but you guys are notorious for basically giving these people the power to do all the stuff that they were doing. So you want to say that women are being, abused by all these, big time directors and people in film, yet you guys had the ability to say no, but you decided not to say no, you stayed quiet, and now you're blaming them for what they did. Well, yeah, I mean, essentially it is their fault.
Now you got yourself involved.
But you got yourself, you could have said no, and you didn't say no.
And you're taking money for it.
And now
Makes
you're
it even worse.
Yeah, and now you're complaining. And I was talking to Edgar about this earlier. This is one of the things that I think that feminism did right, in a sense, was that it allowed it allowed these women to get outraged and actually fight back against this. But what happened is it went a little too far, because now you're not taking any blame or responsibility for yourself, because a lot of these girls could have said no. But what they're trying to do is point specifically at the men and say that it was your fault, or that it is your fault, without taking any of the responsibility. And basically trying to make men look evil and take no credit at all for any of their part, which is a bit hypocritical too, which is why he called him out.
Yeah, but then you're just being sexist if you think that way, though.
How so?
Because it is your fault. It is men's fault. The women, you got to look at it in the perspective that women feel insecure and they feel threatened and diminished when they get raped or they get abused. You're because you say no doesn't make the woman the person that is at fault. Now you're
what you're
saying
confusing is they're not
before that even happened.
No, that they had a choice. They didn't have to go that route.
Yeah.
They didn't have a gun to their head, unless they did. But we're talking about the ones that didn't.
But then that would be a
the
different
ones
case.
that did it somewhat willingly.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
because there was an actress that came out. Hey, the same thing happened to me, but I left. I wasn't gonna. She said I wasn't gonna do any of the stuff that they told me, so I just left. There's other actresses that they get put in the situation and they decide to go forward with it. It's not right that they get put in that situation, but they can also say no and leave. Sure, they're not gonna become super famous and super rich, or maybe they will, but through a different route. They don't have to go through these messed up routes.
Here's what made this. Here's what would have made this a legitimate one-sided argument. Okay, if all these women decided to say no and then they weren't able to get ahead, because look, the reason why they were doing this to begin with is because they wanted to move up. They wanted to move up in the industry, so they decided, hey, well, the only way to move up in the industry and what it's set up to be is I have to do this act in order to move up. And they were choosing to do so. But they could have chosen not to do it, and then they could have basically called all these guys then. And then
called them out, right?
Yeah, held them responsible then, and the only blame would have been on the men. Okay, see, that makes sense. Okay, so the men, the responsibility would have been on the men because the women are saying no, and you're holding them down because you're not doing what they want you to do. Mm-hmm. So that would put all the blame on the men. So once you say yes, and then later on you come back and say, well, yeah, I did it too, and it was because I wanted to get ahead. Well, part of the blaming is on you too. Now
it's a little bit more understood.
Yeah, and there's also a difference between rape too. So if you're raped, that's a totally different thing, and that is illegal in the sense that if you press charges on a man for forcing you to have sex with him, they will be arrested if you file those charges. If you don't file those charges, I'm not saying that it didn't happen, and I'm not saying that you're responsible in that regard too. If you got raped, then that's a terrible situation, but I think it does help the situation when you call them out and you do file charges, because they will be arrested.
They get held accountable.
They will get held accountable for it.
That's a little bit more explanation than.
Yeah, I think I kind of made a broad point that I think hopefully that clarified a little bit. Okay, so the next thing he kind of gets into was supporting. Well, kind of similar to supporting and being friends with shady people, and then telling us that we need to be better people. Basically telling us their morals, forcing us to be morally better when they're, covering up for people like Jeffrey Epstein. That's who he comes out with, and not only Jeffrey Epstein. What was the other one? The Weinstein. Yeah. So what was the joke that he did for that one? He calls it. He's like talking about like a TV show or something.
He's like, yeah. I know he's your friend.
Yeah. And
did you guys see him when he showed up in court?
Who?
Weinstein?
No.
He showed up with like a walker.
Oh,
yeah.
now he's all
playing
sick.
the part.
heck out.
But then someone supposedly reported that he was walking in Walmart like later that day or something.
Nice.
Why did he go on with the walker though? I don't get that.
It's for
Yeah,
the jury.
make it seem-
It's all a show for the jury.
Oh,
To make him seem more
make
pity.
to make him more sympathetic.
to make
Yeah.
him look, to make him
Dude,
look
he
fragile.
looked
Like
fragile.
He
Like
couldn't have done what
he's
he
all
like,
pale. He's gray hair and just like walking. But I was like, dude, no, I don't care.
And then the week before that, he was on a jet ski and freaking
yeah, it's like, dude,
Cabo and
come on.
shit.
So what did end up happening to him?
I don't know. I just remember just reading up on that. Him going to court. I don't know what happened.
Man, he's gonna go to white collar prison anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, but I mean that just goes to show, you know. I mean, if you press charges, I mean it's illegal. They will get arrested. But what was happening was they were just kind of letting them get away with it. And he's pretty, and Gervais is calling him out for that. He's saying, "Look, you guys allowed this to happen, essentially."
what this really shows is we need to make a lot of money so we can get away with stuff.
Yeah, and you know that was another thing that I was going to kind of get into. When he talks about, you know what, you guys are speaking on things that you don't know because you don't know the real world. There's a little bit more to that. They don't know the real world because it doesn't affect them. So the
Yeah, because they live in the Hollywood bubble.
yeah, so they preach
They don't
on
really
things
know
like
about, politics.
yeah, so they preach on things like, you know what, because they are trying to virtue signal to all their friends, because they're trying to make themselves seem like better people. What they're doing is they're standing up for these things that seem well-meaning but are devastating in the long run.
Putting
So
themselves in an iceberg effect.
yeah, so look at the homeless problem that we have right now going on in San Francisco and in LA. California, basically, because California is a Democratic run state. So you have this problem where homeless people are basically taking craps everywhere, and you have to. I think they came out with a police force, or not a police force, like a security force called the Poop Patrol, because they literally have to have people that go around and pick up poop because the homeless people are pooping all over the place. You have diseases that are coming back because all these homeless people are living in filth in the street, and the rats, you know, are bringing back all these diseases that died out years ago. All
that vaccine thing too.
All in the name of trying to be virtuous and saying that, you know what, we shouldn't, you know, jail homeless people for being homeless, which, I mean, sounds nice, right? On the surface, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that person's homeless. Why do you want to be mean to a homeless person?
A lot of people that are homeless want to be in jail.
Yeah, because
Shelter, food.
Food.
Yeah, and to some degree that makes sense, right? Because are you actually helping these people by, you know, letting them, you know, letting them become druggies and pooping on themselves?
But then it becomes a daycare now.
Yes and no, but what you're trying to do essentially is you're trying to rehabilitate people. So you don't necessarily jail them. You put them in institutions that rehabilitate them, and then
didn't they close down those institutions?
Yeah, they did. That's exactly my
They're
point.
opening a new one though. They have a plan right now. They're building a whole new facility to house. I think, don't quote me on this, to house about 100 to 300,000 homeless people.
Where?
Here in California, it is actually pretty close by to where we stay, and it's gonna be a whole new facility, just like a whole bunch of apartments. You know, it's gonna be like a whole section, and they're gonna have like training and you know to rehabilitate, help you find a job, and you know how they have that what is that program called? That they train you in like a field.
A trade school?
Yeah, like a trade school, so you can actually find a job and maybe stay there till you get on your feet, and then you know move on.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that they should try some new stuff. But to get back to the original point, what I was trying to explain is the fact that, you know, in the name of trying to be and trying. Their causes are well-meaning, but they're not sufficient in the long run. So, yeah, they don't want to. They pass laws where you can't have homeless people arrested. So if a homeless person came and slept in front of your house, shot up and left needles on the floor, you can't have them moved by police officers, because they say, because the whole idea is that, you know what,
well, they still do. We're in a particular area that homeless people still get picked up and taken away.
No, okay, so they don't get arrested. But
Abducted?
They don't get. They don't get
the only
arrested.
thing that they do is
There's
they,
a big.
They move them.
There was a big political thing here around this area that
they were
the
shipping homeless
cops were coming over, and they don't want them in this area. They don't want them in the south of the county. So what they were
It's
doing
not
is
good for our image.
it's not good for the county's image. So what they were doing is police were coming, picking all the homeless up and taking them to Northern County.
Yeah.
And just dumping them there, and then coming back, and then
Yeah, they come by train, right? Or bus.
That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't solve the solution, and a lot of the reason why they're all migrating over here is because they know they got it good here. They don't get arrested for anything. They can sleep on benches, and they won't get moved away. I mean, if they do get moved away, it's only because they're being extra violent, and they're only shipping them further out.
Some of the people that live in this area that are homeless say that they like to do it because of the weather.
Well, yeah, the weather's going to be a big factor. But there's so many reasons why homeless are going to want to move to California now, because and it's the reason why you see this giant rise in homelessness is because we have no laws against homeless people. You literally cannot charge homeless people with just about anything. They can live wherever they want. The other day where was I that I saw a tent with a homeless person. It was at the beach, like on one of the walkways going down into the beach. There was a homeless person with a tent there. And yeah, it seems kind of mean to be like, you know what, you can't sleep there because this person is homeless, but at the same time, it's not helping this person to let them live like that for the most part. And a lot of these people that are homeless want to be homeless. They don't mind being homeless.
It's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. You don't have to worry about that. You get free money from people. You get, free food from all these places that are handing them out food. But here's the point, okay? So the point is this, that these Hollywood elites don't face any of that stuff that they're allowing because they don't have to deal with it. They're rich. They're in their gated communities where they don't see any of this stuff going on. So for them to be like, well, you're evil if you want to move these homeless people, a lot of it has to do with the fact that, well, yeah, because you don't deal with these homeless people on a daily basis.
So once you move them towards your houses.
Yeah, so
that's why I said I was like trying to get rid of them because of the image.
Open the mansion up and let them stay in your yard.
Yeah,
you got extra rooms.
If you're so virtuous, you spend your money to help them out.
Hey, well, some of them do. I saw a couple of videos of YG and a couple other artists going to Skid Row and giving people food and blankets and money and stuff like that.
Yeah, but okay, so
I mean, that could also be just for
a
little hype.
looks, but not
cloud.
But not only, I mean, it goes back to the what's that saying?
Tax write-off.
It goes back to that saying. You give you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
A lot of homeless fish.
Well,
I'm just saying.
No, but
I'm just saying they do.
Now you need a permit.
Not for everywhere. Not if you go to the pier, and if you go to the harbor, because you're legally allowed to fish in man-made structures.
So for all you homeless people that don't know,
they do.
Harbor.
They go to Dana Point.
I didn't know. Now I know.
They go to the pier and they go to the Yeti. That's all they do. If you go check out Dana Point.
These guys took my point way too literally. I was not talking about fishing. So for those of you that understood what I was trying to get across,
we know what you mean.
Okay, so the last thing on the list that he kind of clowned on was the fact that Hollywood is, well, just about everybody now, everywhere, in everything, everybody is in jobs, in commercials, in Hollywood, in entertainment, everywhere. Everybody is overly concerned with inclusivity and diversity. And he clowns on this because he's like, what does he say? He's like, we were looking up the list of all the people that died last year, and I was like, and it was too white. He's like, and I was like, I'm not going there.
Not diverse enough.
He's like, I'm not going there. You guys are gonna call me out on that. But that's essentially a good point, because everything nowadays is so focused on diversity and inclusivity that it's like, it's this whole thing of what is it?
Pretty much inclusivity, right? If
diversity,
if your list isn't well rounded, there's something wrong. Like, so a lot of useless people got promoted, and yeah,
you might not want to say that. Okay, so I'll cut that.
I don't care.
Well, no, because you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay, let me protect you there, buddy. Because
sue me.
And that's exactly the point. So
and a lot of beep beep beep.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, which is that you can get in so much trouble now for being not so inclusive and diverse. And it's all to support this idea that we have to have equal opportunity as opposed to equal outcome as opposed to equal opportunity, which means that we have to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity, the same outcome as everybody, not the same opportunity. Meaning that, okay, if there isn't enough, blacks, if there isn't enough Latinos, if there isn't enough, Asians, if there isn't enough women at a certain level of, power or position, then you're not being inclusive and diverse. So we have to prop up people that aren't qualified for the job just so that we can make these things inclusive and diverse. Instead of saying, you know what, the best person for the job should get the job, now we're holding down the best people and saying, you know what, we need to have more Asians, more Mexicans, more blacks.
Thank God I am Mexican and dark.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of a...
I get a little bit of lift.
He gets a little bit of lift for that. Unfortunately for me, my face shows an opposite race to what I am.
That's why he's the host of the show.
Yeah, I get the low totem pole here. I basically align with white, so I'm like, if anything, I get attacked.
Not to forget to mention we were born men.
That too. I'm white and I'm a male, so that's doubly bad.
That's
for me.
debatable, but we'll agree.
I know, no side wants me. Okay, so all being said, I'm going to close this up by just basically saying that the reason why a lot of these people like Ricky Gervais and who was it? What was the other comedian that came out trashing woke culture? No, it was Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, my boy.
The reason why all these guys are coming out with this stuff is because they're trying to,
make you really woke about their agendas, I guess.
Yeah, they're basically calling out everybody for trying to cancel everyone for being uninclusive or undiverse.
Oh, you know who just got canceled?
Who?
Funny that you say it. That girl with Tourette's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, because she said a bad word on YouTube.
Yeah, she said a bad word, and 10 seconds later, all her accounts got closed.
Yeah, she has Tourette's, and unfortunately, she says things uncontrollably, and because of this whole woke culture, everybody's offended by everything. They shut down this girl whose literal YouTube name is Sweet Alita because she's like the sweetest
girl in the world. I guess.
Yeah, but she has
Tourette's.
Yeah,
but she has Tourette's, so you say things involuntarily.
But the other thing too, it was that she has it on there. If you don't know, on her profile, because a lot of people were saying like that's not right. That she's like, well, she has Tourette's. No, she doesn't. And, like it says right there on her profile.
Yeah, and they're saying that she should do more to kind of cover it up. But here, that you can't.
What?
Yeah,
You can't. Well, that's what they say though. But
Yeah.
but also she has moderators in her channel that kick out people because Tourette's can be ticked. It could be
Oh yeah,
triggered.
She
That's what
she
they
has
call
trigger
it.
words. That
So you can't say certain things because that triggers her Tourette's. So a lot of people were making her say phrases and reading. She was reading comments, and then they would put words in the sentences.
it was funny on one of them.
They triggered her Tourette's.
One of her things that she used to have was banana. You would say banana. Or she would say banana like a bajillion times. And some guy wrote a story. He's like, hey, I want your advice on this. Me and my girlfriend are going through some stuff. Banana. And then she's she's like, banana. She starts freaking out. No, okay, so going back to the original point. So the reason why a lot of these guys like Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais are calling out Hollywood and the media is because they're trying to cancel basically anybody for all these, standards that nobody can hold up to. And you'll never satisfy them. And they're canceling everybody one by one for pointless, stupid reasons. So my whole point and what I'm hoping for is the fact that now that these celebrities that are that have large crowds, large followings like Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle are coming out and saying all this stuff and clowning everybody for not being able to laugh at themselves and realizing how ridiculous they're being. It will hopefully start pushing everybody to calm down, which I think we're starting to see. I think a lot more people are starting to come out and realize that they're being ridiculous and they're being way too offended by everything. So everyone calm down, stop being so crazy.
Relax, guys.
Ultra
It's
woke.
just a joke.
Yeah. All right. So
Make fun of each other. It's funny.
Relax, it's just a joke.
yeah. All right. So if you enjoyed that, guys, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Thumbs down if you didn't like. If you hated me, please leave comments about it, and I will be glad to make more videos that shut you down. Go ahead and sign us out, Jeffrey.
He's calling you guys out.
This was your weekly OJ with Jeffrey.
Angel.
Edgar.
Catch you guys later.
Peace.